Hello everyone, welcome to 2021. Welcome to the latest episode of Behind the Wheel with me, Kieran Bicknell. This week, I'm behind the wheel of the new Fiat 500 Hybrid in quite attractive Rockstar trim. But despite the hybrid badging, you kind of forget it's a hybrid pretty easily. As you can probably tell, it's quite cold out here. It is the last frontier of the snow. It is freezing. So, if it's all the same with you, I'm going to pop inside the car now and let me do some more explaining. Now I'm inside and I'm slowly defrosting. I thought I'd take you through the Fiat 500 Hybrid. And the spec I've got here is the Rockstar version with a 70 horsepower mild hybrid engine. You wouldn't know it's a hybrid. Apart from the little graphic on the dash and badging on the back, it doesn't feel like one. It only works as a generator, it doesn't actually power the car at all. But you do get a decent MPGs. I've sort of seen 40s, 50s quite happily. And it all just seems very well thought out. You don't feel like you're driving a hybrid. You don't have that strange surge of electric power, especially in a manual. It's a bit weird. You don't have electric drive at all, really. So let's see what it's like on the road. Right, so out on the road. Well, the first thing you notice is the power, or rather the lack thereof. As I mentioned, you've only got a 70 horsepower mild hybrid engine at the bonnet. And while it's enough to obviously get you around towns and safely travel you around, it does feel a little bit lackluster when you get to hills and things like that. You sort of feel like you have to really push the car. But it's kind of fun to go through the gears as you're accelerating, actually. It's a nice engaging gearbox. It falls nicely to hand here, mounted on the centre console. One thing I did notice though is there's no real support for your arm, which just makes it feel a little bit, what do I do with it on a long journey, which is kind of annoying. But picking tiny faults there. So it's a little bit lackluster on power, but that doesn't mean it's not fun to drive. The wheels being at all four corners of the car mean this does actually genuinely feel like a go-kart on the road, to use the quite overused phrase, to be honest with you. But it's fun. And of course the 595 and 695 Abarth versions share the same footprint, and so I feel like this is a really nice base point for a front car, and I'd love to get my hands on a couple of the Abarth offerings to give them a go as well and see if a good chassis with a bit more power is actually as fun as I reckon it's going to be. And in terms of driving position, it's a bit of a strange one, I've got to be honest. I feel like I'm on the car rather than in the car, and I'm constantly smacking my leg against the centre console because there's no dead pedal. Obviously that's just due to the small proportions of the car, but it gets a little bit uncomfortable leaning it here a bit, and obviously if you're trying to use controls, it kind of smacks your leg a bit, and if I was a bit higher up I'd be catching it on the steering wheel. There's probably about half a centimetre room there, if that. So the driving position is a bit weird, and it is a small car, and I know that is, but considering you've got quite a big bit of room between here, I'd rather they move the seats over just a tiny bit, give you a bit more elbow room and a bit more leg room maybe. But overall it's not too bad. Your visibility is, as you'd probably expect, excellent, to be honest with you. Your windows are deep, it's a good glass house. Going out the back, it's a bit restricted with the C-pillars, but it's nothing we haven't seen before. And the rear window's big, so you've got a good bit of rear visibility. You've got rear parking sensors on this model too, so if you really need sensors on a car as small as this, you are covered. So, not a bad drive at all, things considered. You're not going into this expecting sort of crazy horsepower or a fast car. You're going to be quite impressed. 6-speed box means it works for motorways. This one's got cruise control fitted to it, so you can just bang it into 6, once you're up to 70, set the cruise, you're sorted. Happy days. So, surprisingly fun to drive. What about the practicality side of things? Well, it's a city car, but I've got to say the Fiat falls pretty flat here. The rear seats are fitted, but frankly I don't know what the point of them is. You can't fit anyone back there, you couldn't fit an adult back there, and I'm on the short side and I'm pretty sure I can even fit a kid back there comfortably, in all honesty. But consequently that means the boot's quite small, and so I can fit maybe a weekly shop for 2 people in there, but if I had a bigger family, not a chance. But it's a city car. The idea is they were designed for pootling around the city. They're designed as cheap mass transportation, exactly as the original 500s were. And so with that in mind, I think it's very successful indeed. But I can't help but feel there's a few places that Fiat have compromised their design in chasing that cheap, quirky transportation. for example, we've been given this really nice glass roof portion. It's not a sunroof, it doesn't open, but it does allow a nice bit of light into the cabin. But I'd rather lose that and have some slightly less scratchy plastics, or lose the slightly decut steering wheel and have dials rather than these kind of kindergarten feeling push buttons for the AC controls. There's a few areas it just feels like they're trying to keep it cheap and accessible, but in doing so they've given us the wrong things as sort of a bargaining chip. Like the centerline and the steering wheel. It looks nice, but this isn't a performance car, you don't need the centerline. Like the pinstriping on the seats, again, looks nice. I'd rather have plain seats and, again, less annoying AC controls. But back to that 70 brake horsepower hybrid engine. Without the hybrid badging, you'd never know it's a hybrid. The hybrid system only works as a generator, so it never actually drives the car. You don't have any electric range. But I reckon with the upcoming deadlines for sales of non-hybrid cars, we're going to see a lot more cars like this. It's just going to be a way of getting around laws to extend the life cycle of a product. And I think Fiat are absolutely right to extend the life cycle of their 500. It's been selling for over a decade now. They're ubiquitous in cities, they're ubiquitous in suburban areas. Frankly, even in out suburban areas, you've got 500s everywhere, whether that's the X or the L version. They're everywhere. They are absolutely everywhere, and with good reason. They're good cars, they're cheap, they're safe, they're well put together. I've seen about 4 on my journey so far, and I've covered about 3 miles. And so I completely get why they're selling well. I get why they want to extend their life cycle. And so I think a lot of other car manufacturers are going to take a leaf out of Fiat's book in this sense and go, okay, let's make our car hybrid, even if it doesn't feel like one. But I've got to be honest, I'm coming to the end of my week with the car, and I go into it in more detail in my written review for the car, which I'll leave down below. But I'm starting to understand the cult appeal of these cars. Yes, they have some unfortunate stereotypes about being middle-class white girls' cars and sort of first cars for preppy schoolgirls and things like that. But they're well put together, they're not expensive, they're easy to drive, they've got a character to them, and there's no denying that at all. And it is just that simple. You get in and you turn the key, put the clutch in, go, sorted. You're not getting in and faffing with different drive modes or large touchscreens which have settings all buried within them, and it takes you 10 years and a college degree to just change the air conditioning. And as far as, I don't want to say back to basics motoring, because that sounds like I'm calling the Fiat basics. No, it's well equipped. You've got CarPlay, you've got Android Auto, you've got Bluetooth, you've got good touchscreen, you've got, like I say, the decut steering wheel, sunroof. Lovely seats to be heated in the winter, but let's be honest, it's not really going to be a problem for 99% of people. It looks good, you've got good alloy wheels on it, you've got the matte paint. So I say back to basics in a nice way. It's back to basics motoring in the sense that it's a car that works as a car and doesn't try to be a smartphone at the same time. And I think it's all the better for it, to be honest with you. So there you go. Maybe I'm starting to understand the cult of 500. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Do give my extended written review a read. I'll leave that in the comments below, as I say. And I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you very much. Happy New Year to you all. And I'll see you all soon. Take care.